like as your final advice to PMP aspirants?
Servant leadership. Okay. Servant leadership, the first one. Never reject a change. So rejection of change cannot be your first response. Elimination technique. Understand the question first. What will you do first? What will you do next? And what you will do to avoid this situation in future, or how you will resolve the problem which is happening right now. Okay, that thing. And I think, and mocks, definitely mocks is the mocks and mocks and mocks,
Okay.
nothing else.
Anand just cleared PMP like 10 minutes ago. Ali have cleared PMP with above target. Congratulations, Raheel, on clearing your PMP in first attempt. You cleared PMP exam with 5 above target. The best thing that anyone can do. 5 above target. Ladies and gentlemen, second student in 3 days, 5 above target.
I didn't expect it that I will get this result. I thought that I will be like target or like above target.
Thanks to you. Without your dedication and guidance, it was impossible for me.
Yeah,
It
we
is
can.
clear to you.
Above target, above target, above target, above target. Do I have to write PIM book? Do I have said no? Like whenever he heard like this guy have read 5 times PIM book so many times, he always get confused and come back to me. I kept on saying him, you are going to clear, just read one time. And that's what he did.
Yeah. So first I will share a few things about the exam. Okay, there are many things which I was not aware about the process and some minor technicalities. Okay, I think it is good for all of you to know. And before I start sharing those details, I want to let everyone know that I gave my exam from home. So it was a home-based online exam. So whatever I say, that applies to that. If you are planning to give the exam from the center, then few things may differ. Okay. So what happens is once when you schedule the exam, use the same laptop which you are going to use for the exam. Okay. Because what happens is when you schedule the exam, there is a step wherein you have to do a system check. That is the part of that process when you schedule the exam. So use the same laptop when you are scheduling the exam, which you are going to use for the exam. Second is before the exam. So my exam was on Monday. I think I received the link or the email on Friday to do another system check. Okay. So I did the system check on the same day, and I continue to do every day till the day of my exam. Even in the morning, I did the system check, and again before the exam. So what happens is I have seen videos wherein people have shared that even though the system check was clear, when then they started doing just before the exam, it didn't work. Okay. Someone faced issue with the mic, someone faced issue with the webcam, some has to reboot their system. So basically what happens is you are already in a psychological pressure, and if something goes wrong, doesn't goes as per your plan, you become more nervous. Okay. And with me, I have gone through this once. Last year, I was giving a different exam and my system check failed just before the exam. Okay. It was not PMP, some other exam. And literally, I became more nervous. Like I'm about to start my exam and my system check failed. I rebooted my system and and again ran the system check, and then it worked. Okay. So that is important. Then third thing, which I was not aware, when the exam happens, your exam, as we all know, your exam is divided into 3 parts, 60, 60, 60. Okay. So I was not aware that after you finish your 60 questions, you get an opportunity to review, just like what it used to happen before, that after you complete all the questions, you get an opportunity, your system will say, okay, you want to review all your questions, you can go ahead and do that. So I was not aware that after 60 and after 120, you get that up. Automatically system will prompt you and it will bring in into the screen that, okay, if you have mark for review, you can go ahead and do that before you take your break. Okay, so basically, just understand this, you are giving 3 exams in a row. Okay, the process will remain same. After 60 questions, you will get an opportunity to review if you have flagged for review. And then it will say, if you want to take break, you can say yes, you have to click there. If you don't want to take break automatically, the second system set of questions will start. Okay, and once the break starts, there will be a timer on the screen. It will start counting in the reverse order. It will start from 10 minutes and 8, 9, 7, 8, 1, 0. Okay. And again, as soon as you, and even if you like, what I did, like in the first break, I came back to my system in 7 minutes. So there were 3 minutes remaining for this exam to start. So when it was 1 minute remaining, I clicked on end break and the exam started. Second time when I took the break, again, I came back in 7 minutes and 15 seconds before the end of break, I clicked on end break and the exam started. What happens is if you don't click on that end break, the system understands that you have not come back, but the clock will start, but you will not see the questions. Okay, so you may end up losing time there. So it is better to avoid that lag, and because even 1 minute is precious during the period of the exam. So when I understood first time that this is how the system works, in second break, before 15 seconds before I clicked on end break, the system popped up, I was able to see the question and I went through the flow. Okay. So this is the few technicality, and once you finish the exam, as soon as you submit, either you submit or you just finish or you end with your time. Okay, like I had only 1 minute. When I completed my 180th question, I had only 1 minute remaining. No opportunity for me review, nothing. All I was just looking at the clock to finish, and it finished, and I clicked OK and it went, and I saw the result. And then once you see the result, then the system will ask you for a survey, whether you want to do a survey. There is a simple 3-4 questions. You can choose yes or no. It's up to you. I said yes. And there was 3-4 few questions about the exam and your experience. And finally, you end the exam. And then it says close. So these are the few technicalities. It is very important that if you are giving the exam from home, follow the clean desk policy. They will check. Even you click the photo, send it across, still they will check your room, your table through the webcam of your laptop. They will ask you to show the room, show your table, opposite, behind, this is the same place from where I give the exam, where I'm sitting right now. And same position, same laptop. This is exactly the same place, okay? So follow the clean desk policy. Nothing should be there on your table. Unnecessary. What happens is, see, anything is there, your phone, something is there. They will ask you, no, you have to do this. It unnecessarily creates an extra pressure on you because you're already nervous. You're already under an intense pressure, okay? So try to avoid all those things which can create unnecessary psychological pressure on you, because it is extremely important that you need to be calm and composed during those 4 hours. Extremely important. When I was giving the exam, not even once I felt that today I'm going to pass the exam. It was that tough. But I had only one thing in my mind, that at the end of the 4 hours, I want to see the 180th question. That was my only goal. Whether I pass or fail, it doesn't matter. But I want to finish 180 questions. That was my only goal. Okay, so it is extremely important that you have to be calm, composed. Exam is very tough, okay? No doubt about that. No doubt about that. This is the toughest exam I have been after I passed my engineering long back. I have given so many certification exams, but this was the toughest one. after my engineering, I can recall in last 15, 20 years, I have given any exam, this stuff.
Okay. Inqulab, before moving forward, I would like to ask you this question. Like then we will talk about the exam and all the details in the exam. Like first, I would add something here. The same thing would be applied to you. The same thing would be applied to you that your clock will start running even if you are giving exam in the center. That is bound for 10 minutes. And as I recommended, and in club even did the better. I told him you need to return by 8 minutes. He came back by 7 minutes. So that's even better. So that's a good thing. In club, when you are giving the exam, why don't you share us how the exam difficulty level change? Because okay, everyone feels now this will be normal when you are giving exam, whether you are giving best exam or whether your exam is very bad, you will feel that you will not pass. That's normal, we understand that, but very important thing to know that how the exam trended. First a difficult question, then easy, how it moved.
So I will tell you, in my case, first two tests, it took me 80 minutes each. Okay. And my third set, I obviously I had only 70 minutes. So I had no choice but to finish my third set in 70 minutes. But difficulty level, I would say, so for the sake of understanding, if I say that set one and set two, if it was at 100, set three was not like 50 or 25 for me. That even it was little bit easier what I found, but again, it was not even easy. I would say less tougher compared to set one and two. But the trend was like continuously, I was having tough time in every question. Little bit I found little bit easier the third set, but first and second was like extremely difficult.
Okay. So that is important thing. And just to put the context for everyone, in club, I'm not talking about 50 question, 100 question. How many 180 mocks? To put in the context, how well he was prepared. How many complete mocks?
18 mocks I have given in total.
18 mocks in club has given, and we were talking almost on daily basis mock. He have given all the prepcast. He have given all Andy Ramadal. Actually, all the mocks I have, almost all the mocks I have asked him to give. And in addition to that, we have did a lot of questions in prepcast. And I would like to really appreciate this man consistency. When we started on the first day, his result was, I was looking to the chat like 61%. And I actually uh, didn't normally I give a motivating comment, but he was a star student of batch three. He was a star student of batch three. I actually said him something, and his lines were, "That's not very motivating." And I told him, "I'm not motivating you. That's not my job. My job is to give you reality." And he kept on working. And from 61, the last mock he gave, Prepcast test number 4, his result was 83%. And when he shared the result, I told him, "You cleared the exam." Yes or no?
Yeah.
But the thing is
You
that the exam is this much difficult. Don't take it lightly. Coming back to the next thing. In club, how many questions of match the columns?
So there were total 9 questions for drag and drop, and it was equally distributed for me, like 3-3-3.
Okay, 3-3-3. How many questions predictive and agile? Percentage.
It was, yeah, percentage, I would say 50-50.
50.
I was getting it this way, like one predictive, one agile, one predictive, one hybrid, that way.
Okay.
It was like every alternate question.
If we talk about agile, because I am getting a lot of feedback from many students, like in agile the focus is more towards 4 value, 12 principles and things like that. So in your case, where the real focus was in agile?
Yeah, so see, focus was still the same. Okay, you definitely cannot enter the exam unless you know the 4 values and 12 principles. And when I say no, you don't need to memorize those. You need to understand those, because the whole agile principle or agile world is based on those values and principles. So you need to understand. You don't need to memorize all the 4 values and all 12 principles. It is extremely important.
Okay.
Because you need to think in your back of your mind that how I will handle this situation.
Okay.
And those values and principles will help you to think in that way.
Okay. Then what about like the basic concept of agile, like co-location, management of stakeholder, prioritization of product backlog, retrospective? Because Mr. Jen, in Mr. Jen exam, his recommend were like 15 questions were almost from sprint retrospective, and then daily stand-up. Were there any trend in your exam like this one?
So I will tell you, sir, in Agile or in predictive, I did not get a single question which directly relates to any topic.
No, that's an
The
awesome.
situation was made so complicated. I knew that there is a relation to retrospective, but there is also multiple other relations to this question.
Okay.
It was not straightforward that I can, not even a one question I would have was able to relate that this is initiation, this is project charter, because they made it so tough, putting it multiple conditions in those questions.
Okay. 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 Let's come to the predictive part. Like some, even in 2020, my straight line was communication, stakeholder, risk, and change request. You clear the exam. What is the trend right now in your exam?
Stakeholder, procurement, communication, yes, you're right. Risk was also to a certain extent. Integration, I didn't realize any question uh, with directly with integration, but yes, project charter was an important topic in the exam. Initiation, business case, business management plan, how to realize business benefit. That concept you need to be clear about how it is separate: project charter, assumption log, business case, business benefit plan. These four things in initiation, you need to be extremely clear about the concept, how these are different from each other.
Okay, okay, okay. Okay, guys, now I'm opening question and answer session. If anyone wants to ask the question, either you can write in the chat box or they can raise their hand and you can ask the question.
Hey, in club I joined. I have only one question.
No, no, I'm not. For you, every question it will be $50.
The question is, which all mocks did you use and which were the most helpful ones?
See, again, I will answer this question, and this will be for everyone. Okay. Mock. See, imagine yourself. You are going on a war and you are going through a training. Okay. I have done 18 mocks, and you will not believe, not a single question was repeated in my exam. Not a single question. I have solved 4,000 plus questions. Out of 4,000 questions, I couldn't find any question which directly came that I can say that, oh, yes, I have seen this question. So mocks, none of the mocks which you do is anywhere close to the actual exam. But the way you have to prepare yourself, you give the mocks that prepare you for that 4-hour marathon. Whatever questions are wrong, you go back, you review, you clear your concept. So that's the key of preparation.
Okay, okay. Thank you. And Chitra, let me put that one thing more in perspective. When Inqulab is saying that 4,000 question, what we agreed and what I am doing with every student, not one also. Even Prepcast, one is not able to do. We did Prepcast, we did Andrew Ramadal, we tried to do Rita, the question in Rita book. We did PMI mock, of course, we have ATP, we have that 210 questions. Then we did PMI ATP questions, that the question in the book. Okay, then we did PMP Ray, we did Triday, then we did my 6 mocks, all those things. Okay,
Yes.
if you guys are getting lost and getting depressed at the end of the Inqulab call, at the end of Inqulab interview, I will add very funny thing that also happened today. Okay, so Ahad is asking, other than the mocks, what was your study schedule and in how much time did you take to prepare for the exam? So
Okay.
before answering this, let me answer one thing. In club session ended on 15th of February, and today is 30th of March. So that actually gives us the time frame His day 5 was on 15th of February. Yes, Inqilab, please go ahead.
Yeah, you're exactly right. So just to let everyone know, I'm from IT field, and coming back to PMP, the only first time I started reading or understanding about it was on February 5th when I entered Amer Sir's class. That was the day one. Okay. And then next weekend, that session ended with 5 classes. And that's wherein I started with my aggressive study plan. So it was a 6 weeks, but yes, it was 6 weeks. I used to study almost 6 to 8 hours every day during weekdays and 8 to 12 hours on weekends. So and you can imagine I gave 18 mocks. So 18 days I gave 4 hours exam, and then I spent another at least six hours to review those exam, whichever answers were wrong. So that was like the duration I had to spend. Like, and at one time I started giving mocks every single day. Like in the morning, I used to wake up at 2 a.m., take shower, and give the mock till 6:37. Then evening, once I finished my office work at 5 or so, I again used to start the review of those questions which had wrong, what went wrong, why it was wrong, and that's how I used to end my day.
Okay. Okay. One more thing I would like to add. Whenever, like, I really love Inqilab's consistency. Whenever he is done with the mock, either he get good result, he bad result. I always get the message from Inqilab. Now he's why I am saying he's my star student. I am messaging everyone for the update. I do ask him also, but he's always asking, let's have a call and then discuss the daily mock. So that was a very important thing that you need to do. What Inqilab did, root cause analysis. Okay, Zakaria is asking, how long did it take to complete the mock? Then we will take the question of Umair. How long did it take to complete the mocks?
So mock, I would say I only remember one mock which I was not able to complete in the scheduled time, which was 3.5 hours. Okay. Majority, rest of all the mocks I was able to complete, because see, when I used to give mock, I used to give in a real exam scenario. Okay. I used to sit in the same table where I'm sitting right now, with the room closed, with no distraction. I used to complete 60 questions, take a break, 10 minutes, come back, restart my mock. So I used, because I wanted to give myself the same feeling what I'm going to get in the real exam. And I used to do again and again, again and again, so that it goes deep in my blood. That was my intent and strategy.
Okay. And one very important thing that Inqilab said, and I would request everyone, I have heard the feedback of 2, 3 students that what they are doing 60 question, then they are doing remaining question next day. Like in Udemy, you have the ability to stop the questions. Or one or two students, actually two students did that. They went through the complete 180 question, whatever they knew, they did, and then they come back and did the remaining question. That is bad. Why? Exam is 60 question, part 1, and you cannot go back to the previous question. 61 to 120, and you cannot go back to the previous question. 121 to 180 question, you cannot go back, like it's of course end of the exam. And important thing, your time is fixed. As in Clav was saying, I think he should also, I would also like to add that thing. Even if you do 60 question in the complete time, the exam would not give you break. You need to schedule your exam 60 question, 70 minute, then take a break. 60 questions, 70 minute, then take a break, 60, and then for the last questions, you whatever the time you have, you do that. In club did 80, and remaining time, remaining is your choice. Yes, Umer, please. Umer, unmute yourself. Yes.
Yes, sir. Yeah. First of all, congratulations to Mr. Inqulab, and he was really sharing his good views with us. But I have one question. I mean, it's not a question. I mean, if he can guide us, how to motivate ourselves when we are getting a less percentage in our mocks. For example, we did one mock, we got 42%, then 43%. And I know it's maybe it's a normal, but sometime, of course, we have some other responsibilities. You become a demotivated and you thrown out the things. Why? I mean, so how we can motivate ourselves? I mean, it's a emotional intelligence question. So if he can share, because he did the
Oh,
18 mocks, which are
sure.
huge.
Yes, Inqilab.
So let me respond to that. I will let Umar sir respond that. Amer sir respond that question because he has done that job for me.
Before giving, but first of all, I would like to give a funny answer. Niklab called me and I actually yelled at him. And then that at that time he said that that's not very motivating. But the thing is that, let me tell you a story of a student. He's sitting here. He got 47% or 49% in the first mock. He's a very good student. He got 47%, and he was just like Umair, you are in the state, he was in the same state. We talked, and I asked him, okay, stay calm, do the root cause analysis, take a break, don't do anything for today. First step, when you get the mock, you get 40, 50, 55%, don't do the root cause on that day. Don't do that. If you haven't booked the test, do the root cause next day, or maybe even take a break of a day. Then do the root cause and find out what is the reason, and then work on it. Let me tell you, that student result from 47, 49 jumped to 63, 65 within from one mock to another mock. The same thing, you need to reciprocate yourself. You cannot judge yourself by one mock. You cannot judge yourself. You need to do multiple mocks, and doing the mocks by doing root cause, root cause, root cause. That's the only way. Coming back to the emotional intelligence, listen to music, watch a good movie, whatever you like. Take a, like you have a children who may play with them. Take a 1 day rest. Take a 1 day rest, because PMP is a marathon. If you are like many of my students have date in 7 days, 8 days, if you are not among those, because you are not, take rest and then work on it. Inqilab didn't do 18 mocks in 1 week. He didn't do.
And what?
Yes, please.
Sorry. Yeah. So, and one thing which I would like to share, okay, and this worked for me. Maybe this may work for you guys as well. But what I did initially when I was getting demotivated, or oh, I'm not getting good marks, I'm not sure whether I'm ready for the exam or not. And my wife used to keep on telling me every day, why don't you take the exam date? Okay. And and finally I said, okay, I'll go ahead and take the date. Let me see whatever it happens. I went ahead and took the date, and that created an immense pressure on me, because now I am counting day by day that, oh, it's 8 days for the exam, 7 days for the exam, 6 days for the exam. And I think that is, and I have seen this video for in on YouTube. Many people did that. There are a lot of people, this formula worked for them. And you guys also want to try, I think, no, that's worth trying. If you are seeing that it is getting, see, PMP, the study for PMP is very tough. It is very easy to get demotivated. It is easy to lose focus because of other priorities at personal, at work level, in office, and then, okay. This is one of the things, as soon as you schedule the exam, then you're left with no option. You have to study, because now you know 15 days is my exam, 14 days is my exam. Now it's 13 days, 12 days, 11 days, 10 days. Now you are counting every day. Then you automatically, it creates a pressure. So I scheduled the exam 10 days before of my exam. And I told Amer sir when I scheduled the exam that it is exactly 10 days from now. And I don't know, but I've scheduled it. Let's see what happens.
I
So
just,
that's another thing which you may want to explore.
I don't recommend it. Let me add it. Not everyone has the stomach to do that. Not everyone has the stomach, and you are basically now, you has his perspective, everyone has their own perspective. I actually did the same thing for my exam. Let me put it this way, for my PMP I did the same thing. Okay, but everyone does not have the stomach to do that. So if you think you can handle the stress of that, Like he was handling the stress, he was doing daily mocks. But let's say if you schedule your exam and you get corona, what you will do, and things like that. There is one of my student did have that. His exam was on 4th of April and he got corona like 2 days ago. So he has to reschedule it. So if you feel it, this technique can work. It worked from Inqulab, it worked for Jen, it worked for multiple students, but it backfired for multiple students. So you again coming to the self-awareness, you need to know yourself. Okay, Machinder is asking sometime during situational question, you don't understand which situation need to address first and answers according to that. If we don't get that clear picture, how did you manage to get to the right answer? Or I would say, how did you use to approach such question? In club?
Okay. So, so in this exam, and again, you get this by giving mocks, by experience, by watching videos, by watching interviews of the people who pass. Okay. In this exam, you should always need to understand uh, what is the problem and what are you trying to solve. Okay. The question you will always see, what will you do next? What will you do first? What will you do to avoid this situation in future? What you could have done better in past? Okay, so there are a few things. One, what is the question asking? What will you do next? What will you do first? A project manager should never take action without fully understanding the situation. If the question says, what will you do next? What will you do first? Check the option, which option says, which is not talking about taking any action, okay, which says, I will refer a document and review. I will talk to the team member and understand the problem. Go to those answers, okay? Whenever it says, whatever you do next, whatever you do first. What you could have done better, that means something you could have done better in past to avoid a problem which you are seeing today, okay? Then there is another type of question, what you will do in future to avoid this situation. That means root cause analysis. Try to find which question direct you to the root cause analysis process. If the question says what you will do to avoid the same situation in future, that means you need to understand, find the root cause, address it, that problem shouldn't happen again. So these are techniques which you need to, and you will gain this, okay, with the experience, going by mock again and again. I would highly recommend watch videos of the people who have passed the exam. And there are tons of videos on YouTube and everyone share their, and I have learned a lot, all these small techniques. You need to find those. See, every question will give a message, but the tricky part is you need to pick that message. What is the question? And what are the options I have available? And what is the problem I'm trying to solve here?
Okay, that's a very great answer, I would say. And like the framework of project manager as in club has defined, a project manager, if the thing is about future, he must do the root cause. Always go for the root cause that you need to solve. Because we have three things: problem in the past, right now, or for the future. So very well explained. Okay. Then Ahad is asking the question basically, what was your study plan? How you started it, and how, if you can make it as a journey. We love journeys. So if you take a journey of it in and steps, what would you say?
So see, I honestly, anything about PMP, I first heard on February 5th in Amer sir's class. Okay, I never studied anything before that. All I knew, there is an exam, people get certified, and that exam is difficult. I don't know from where these people come who clear the exam. Definitely not from this planet. That was the first day when I started understanding. You will not believe, first 3 days, I was not able to even relate that what I am studying in the class, how this is connecting with the exam, how this is connecting with the syllabus. Okay. Then after that 3 days passed, because whatever I used to hear, and Amer sir knows me very well, I knew that, okay, these are all day-to-day things which I do. But ultimately, there are things which I have to do to pass the exam. I know I do all these things. How this relates to the exam? Then when those 3 days finished, I went back to PMI website and I printed the exam content outline. And I started looking into that. Okay, that was the first. Okay, so there are 3 domains. 3 domains are divided into 5 lessons. 5 lessons are divided into various topics. Okay. Then I went through some more information. Okay, there is predictive, there is agile. PMBOK, I was knowing in from past that, okay, there are 14 chapters, procurement strategy, how this is all integrated with the agile in the exam. I started relating that. Then I spent few days to first understand what I am getting into. Okay. Then I was, so before I went to the next weekend class, at least I knew what I am in now from a syllabus standpoint, from an exam standpoint. Okay. And then I started reading the slides which Amer sir shared, those slides which he covered in his exam. And honestly, those are the only study material which I have studied. Apart from that, I have not studied any book. I just went to PMBOK for a few topics. I want to clarify, I just specific topics, okay, like something about procurement, something about project charter, input, output. I wanted to understand few things. I just went through few pages. Those slides were the only thing which I studied end to end. And my focus was on, and I remember giving first exam on business domain for 100 questions. And I scored like 57. I told Amer sir, this was like, I didn't even find this exam anywhere related to the business. And it's not motivating me at all. Let me give the full exam. I want to give the full exam as soon as possible. And I want to learn from there. And I just gave mocks after mocks after mocks and went through the wrong questions or wrong answers. Sometimes videos, Amer sir's videos, sometimes PMBOK, sometimes there is a chart which gives all the processes. Agile book, Agile, yeah, I studied that Agile practice guide once. I just read it once on a weekend. It just took 2 hours for me to read the whole Agile practice guide. I'd read it once. And Scrum, I was very much familiar, so I didn't even need to read anything on the Scrum.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much, Inqulab. And it's a really funny thing. Inqulab actually didn't need to read the practice guide. When he came to my session, I found out after 15 minutes in my session, he knows at least 10 times more agile than me because he has been working as an agile project manager for 18 years. And I really learned a lot from him in that session. Okay. Then Tariq has asked a question. Okay. How effective was the elimination technique? Were you able to find the
Oh,
first 2 elimination, then focus on the other 2? How easy would you say this is? How would you compare the questions difficulty based on current coaching calls?
okay. So elimination, okay. Elimination and Amer sir, we spoke on the exam day, okay, in the morning. So I when we were discussing, I told Amer sir that, Amer sir, I am going with 2 strategies today. I don't know whether I will pass or fail, but I am going with 2 strategies today. One, I will complete 180 questions. Second, whether it is even easiest questions on the planet, then also I will read all the 4 questions and do the elimination technique. That is the key, guys. That is the key. Elimination technique is extremely critical in the exam. That will save a lot of questions going wrong just because you haven't read the question correctly, you missed the messaging. That will help you to avoid those. I think every question, elimination technique, you need to follow every question. 180 questions, you have to follow elimination technique. There's no other way.
Okay.
And I have done that.
And what about how relevant our coaching calls are to the exam?
See, the coaching calls, mock exams, okay, these are all pattern. But if I compare the intensity, okay, the closest which I found compared to all the mocks were the prepcast, which I gave all the 4 mocks in the prepcast. That were the closest. But if I compare the intensity of the exam for me, if prepcast was at 25, my exam was at 95. I was literally sweating every question I was reading after. I was praying after every question. I was praying after every question. It was extremely difficult. I cannot imagine. I never thought that this will be so tough. I never thought.
In club, that technique that close your eyes and take 3 deep breaths, did that work for you at that time?
I'll tell you, I was doing that during my breaks.
That's a good one. Okay.
I was doing that during my breaks. In the exam, I was completely stressed. But only thing, see, that's what I'm saying. You have to be calm and composed on the exam day during the exam. You need to enter the exam with one goal, that you have to complete 180 questions. That's the key to pass. If you miss 10, 15, 20 questions, it is extremely difficult. You have to attempt all 180.
Okay.
Because even if you miss 20 questions, there is a high possibility that out of 20, 10 may be right if you get time.
Okay.
So it is very important to
Okay.
attempt all 180.
That is the key. That time management is the key. Okay. In club, very important thing I would like to ask, what about change request? How many questions were there? Because if I really put agile and predictive on pedestals, everything we do in predictive, we do in agile. Everything. Change request is the fundamental difference between agile, how we treat agile and how we treat predictive. So before 2020, like before
Yeah,
2021, we.
yeah. So I don't recall the exact count, but I would say it was sizable number of questions.
Mhm.
And you very rightly said, in both the areas, in agile as well as in predictive. Okay, change management questions were there, and it was like sizable number, not 1 or 2 or 5. I would say more than 10 in both the areas. And one of the key which we need to remember in the exam, in fact, two. One, servant leadership. If a team member is coming to your meeting late every day, you will not fire him, but you will talk to him and try and understand why he is coming late to your meeting every single day. That's a servant leader. Second, change. You will not reject any change without assessing it, whether you are in predictive or you are in agile. In predictive, you will go through the change control board. In agile, you will go through the product owner and product backlog. But in both the areas, you will never reject a change. That is not your first response for any change. You will always assess, what is the impact to my project? You will go back to the change control board if you're in predictive. You will go back to product owner, product backlog if you're an agile. But you should not be rejecting change. That cannot be your first response in any question.
Okay. 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 And we have only 5 minutes. Okay. Very good question asked by Tariq again. Like now when you are in center, you can talk loudly, you can move here and there. I have heard this feedback from many of the aspirants. Like one of our aspirants said that he put hand here and the proctor said that don't do that. And one move their head here and there. The proctor said that don't do that. So he is basically asking, were you able to move freely and were you able to speak aloud or do those things? What was your experience with proctor?
Yeah, so with Proctor, I did not read the questions aloud, and whatever you mentioned, I remember that from the videos. So I did not do that intentionally. I quietly read the question and tried to solve the answer. Okay. One thing which I would share, okay, what happened when I was doing the check-in in check-in, you have that option that you can, when you do the check-in on your laptop, it asks for your phone number and it sends you a text message, and you can take pictures and upload directly from your phone. So definitely, and obviously I was nervous. I took all the pictures and I uploaded, and I finished the process. I kept my phone on my desk and I started waiting for the proctor to release my exam. When proctor released my exam, after that I realized that my phone is there. Okay. And I did not wanted to start my exam by keeping my phone here, or else unnecessary, it may create problems at a later stage. But you'll not imagine what happened after that. I pinged the proctor. I said, I forgot to keep my phone in a different room. Can I go ahead and do that? He said, no, you're not allowed to move now. I have released your exam. You cannot go anywhere. You have to be like that only. I said, okay. Because my worry was, if someone tries to call me, starts ringing, then I will get distracted. And that was my worry. But first 1 hour, I had to give my exam, keeping my phone in the same room. And then as soon as I got into the break, the first thing I did is I kept my phone in a different room. But again, yeah, they are very strict, and they have to be, to keep the integrity of the exam. We need to understand that. But yeah, they are very strict, and and that's why you need to avoid anything which can create unnecessary pressure on you. So let's follow all the clean desk, everything up to date, so that you don't get into, oh, remove this, remove that, this shouldn't be in your room, that kind of situation. That unnecessary creates pressure on you at the last minute.
Okay. So I got a question here. So the question says basically, okay, we know that change control journey in predictive. And you mentioned that in agile, if a change occur, okay, you accept the change. We know that the change has to be accepted in agile. We go to the product owner looks at the product backlog. Then what he does? Because we have a change control board, they look at the baselines, they evaluate, they do complete thing. What happens in agile?
In agile, see, always remember one thing: change. There will be two types of change. One, either a key stakeholder or a stakeholder or product owner will say that I need to do this change in middle of the sprint or middle of the iteration. I want to happen in this current sprint, which is in progress. Okay. That situation, your response should be that, okay, if this is a high value, high risk, high value for the business, okay, we will do that. But to keep our velocity up to date, I have to remove some of the lower priority items. Okay. If he wants to do in the current iteration. If a product owner or a key stakeholder comes with a change, that, okay, we want to add this new function, then the right approach is to involve product owner. If he's not involved, get back into the product backlog, the change is added there. Again, you reprioritize. If you had 10 items, now you have 15. Again, you reprioritize. Again, you pick up the high value items, high risk items, and plan for the next iteration.
Love the answer. So let me just put it again. A change come, you accept it. The first thing in Agile, you accept it and put it in the product backlog. Or if the question says you are an Agile practitioner or product owner who is only responsible, who is the person who can only put the change in the backlog, you put the change. Again, we get, of course, prioritized backlog. And if the change comes in the product, then it comes in the product. So that's a good answer in class, and that's why you cleared such a difficult exam. Okay, anyone has any question, or we can call it a day? I think everyone has asked. I have 1 more minute or one more question. Okay, in class, would you like, as your final advice to PMP aspirant?
Servant leadership. Okay. Servant leadership, the first one. Never reject a change. So rejection of change cannot be your first response. Elimination technique. Understand the question first. What will you do first? What will you do next? And what you will do to avoid this situation in future, or how you will resolve the problem which is happening right now. Okay, that thing. And I think, and mocks, definitely. Mocks is the mocks and mocks and mocks,
Okay.
nothing else. That will help you to prepare for the exam.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Inqulab. And Inqulab is in our group. You can go in the group and actually message him. So he's very easy, accessible. He whenever just remember he's in US time, and I'm sure he will be more than happy to other aspirants. And I would add few more things apart from my videos. He actually used Andy Ramadal videos. I highly recommend Andy Ramadal question. You guys go and watch his videos and do question. Then PMP race videos, they are good. Go and watch those things. And one thing that the tone of this complete interview or web episode has been more of that the PMP exam is hard. I would even say that almost impossible. In club did 18 mocks. Another student cleared exam today. He did 2 mocks. He did in 2 weeks, and just by watching my videos. I already put his interview, and you can watch that. So, PMP exam has entirely different dynamics. Different dynamics. Two students sitting together will not have same exam. On 31st of December, 11 or 13 of my students gave the exam, including my wife and including a guy who worked in his office was also my student working sitting side by side in one center. Their exam was entirely different. So this is PMP. And club has one of the most hardest exam. And that guy was actually, if you watch this video in club, you would be happy to see that you say PMP is easy. PMP is easy. So that's the shift in PMP exam. You don't need to get depressed that what to do. What Inqulab said as his last minute, the way he summarized, he is truly a servant leader. He put the most value, highest valuable item, or I would say minimum viable product in that 1 minute. All those things, follow that and do as many as mocks. You did 18, I recommend you do 25. Do all the mocks in the market. Do as much as necessary and become certified PMP. Thank you very much for everyone for joining. And tomorrow, the same time, 11 p.m., we will, maybe tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, I'll update in the group. We will have coaching call for solving 10 to 20 question answers. Thank you, Inqulab. Best of luck and see you soon. Okay,
Sure.
bye.
So
Thank you, Mr.
congratulations to
Amer.
Club and
Thank
happy
you.
Happy
birthday, sir.
birthday, we have to say.
Happy birthday, sir. It is 5 minutes.
Thank you.
Good
Thank
gift,
you.
this one.
At
All the
least,
best. All
at
the
least
best.
two of my students gave me the gift.
We will give you delayed gift, but you will still accept it.
Let me put it this way. Let me put it this way. Give my son gift. His birthday is on 14th of April, so give him that gift. All of you.
Inshallah. Okay.
Okay. Assalamu alaikum and see you soon. Bye.